Right. So, just want to walk you through the website and just kind of show you how to edit the content, how to do everything on the site. We're currently on the home page, and anywhere where you're on the site when you want to log in, currently you can hit escape on any page, and it'll take you to like the login area. And because you have an account, what's my email address? Oh yeah. Oh boy. So anyway, yeah, I'll just go ahead and log in. And you can disable that escape key thing. I always kind of keep it on just because, I don't know, it's never really in the way. Um, I guess it could be, someone could hit escape, but they really can't log in. So it would just take them to the login page. So anyway, I digress. So we're currently on the home page, and everything on the home page is editable. However, most things here on the page will be sort of locked down. I mean, it's like, you can add an image, and then probably in like a month or two, you could add another image or something like that. So you probably wouldn't be updating the homepage content that frequently. But I'll go ahead and walk you through and show you how to edit the content should you feel like you want to. I guess I'll go ahead and start with the images on the slideshow. So I went ahead and posted on Basecamp. So there is the stock images post that I made where you can go out and search for stock images and how to do that. And then I posted, if you're still looking for images, here's some help docs and things like that. Then the images that are actually used on the site, like the main slideshow area, you probably always want to use a large, a wide image. I mean, or a larger image if you can. So I usually tell people 1500 pixels wide would be a minimum. And that's because Squarespace would actually reduce the size of anything larger, and the largest size would end up being 1500 wide. So with all slideshows and all kind of these kind of content areas, even blog posts or any photo on any page, if you just want to kind of always consider a 1500 pixel wide, or a common size out there in the world for even stock images and things like that would be 1600 wide. But I digress again. So these slideshow images are actually 1500 by 845 if you want to start there. And if you forget that, what you can do is actually right click, and we could say open image in new window or something like that. And by default, this one's already been scaled down to, it's the same ratio, but it's been scaled down. So if in doubt, you can go ahead and look at the image size here and think, okay, well, I need 1000 by 563 or whatever, which actually, once you do the math, it would be exactly the same size as your 1500 by 843 or whatever I said. But anyway, I'll go ahead and jump out of that. But and then it's the same way with those all the homepage boxes. If you want to use 1500 by 685. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna drop these here locally just so I can have these just for fun. And I'm gonna close out of that. Okay. What else is open? Okay. So I would say an easy way, if you don't want to use graphics software to edit the photos, let's say that you plug in a digital camera, and on your digital camera, let's just go out and grab an image as a demo here. And we're just going to say kids playing or something. There's the image that I just did yesterday. So the images on there now are just temporary, obviously, but I'm just going to show you a typical scenario, I guess. So if I say large, and then we can just assume that, these images were enormous. Okay, so here's a good example. So it's probably the same photo session as that one that's already on the site. A little creepy. But I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Save image as cute kids play. My desktop. All right, so I have that saved out there, and then I'll just close that out. So to edit the slideshow, then, so we have a new image, and we're gonna pull that in. There's a cool built-in plugin that you can edit the images. So let me show you how to get to this first. This is our homepage content. It's actually built on a blog, which just allows us to kind of get to certain specific areas within the page and not have to kind of wade through the entire page of all this. So it's also easy to like move things around. So if you wanted to add like a third row of things, and then you want to decide you want things moved, just basically changing the date on the post and doing all that kind of stuff. Anyway, not necessary to know it, but it's just built that way structurally. So on the this is the home page, and this is specifically the slideshow, and then the logo, and then the content that falls beneath the logo. But if you double click the slideshow area, it would open up, and we can go ahead and I'll just delete those kids playing image. And then here's the new image we have. And you remember, I didn't really look at the dimensions on that yet. But we already said that image needs to be 1500 by 845. So as that's loading in, what we can do then is if you click the pencil icon, which actually I'll just go and put that one second up here. If you click the pencil icon on that, it'll open up the Avery editor. It's like a third-party editor, or is it aviary? Aviary, yes, like a bird. That plugin is also available, by the way, on like iOS, so you can get that for your iPhone, your iPad, and things like that. Really fantastic photo editor, really easy. It even does like all the Instagram type filters and all those kind of things. But I won't do that to this photo. So what we can do is we can actually crop this image, and we can pick an actual size. So what we can say is 1500 by 845 memory. Yes, 845. 845. So that's basically how that's done. So you could probably just say right there, and then you just say apply, and it'll crop it. And then if you want to adjust brightness or contrast or anything like that, you can certainly do that there as well. Sharpness is sometimes good for some images, where you can just add just a little bit of sharpness just to make them a little more crisp. Again, not necessary to do. And then if you say apply and save, it's going to go ahead and replace the one that we uploaded with this new image. So that's how that works. And that's really all there is to that. So that's going to be pretty simple to manage. And if I click over here, it'll go to that next image. So there it is. The background color here, that's always going to exist on all image widths as well. So you can see like this would be like a tablet width, and then like your mobile width would be there, but that background item will always kind of be a little askew, if you will. Works like that. So I'm going to go in there and delete that image just because I don't know where it came from. But that's how you manage it. You just double click the slideshow area, and I'll just hit delete on that one. And you can move these images all around. You're obviously going to replace those with new images. And I would do like an odd number, like 5 or 7 or something like that, and then it'll never get boring. I guess if you did 2 or 3, then it might be just the same thing over and over and over. If you need to edit any of this content, you can just double click it. And this is actually HTML code, so just be a little careful. But if there's a typo in here or you need to space things a little, or just change some of the text, then that's how that's done. But everything is pretty much formatted to work the way it is set up to, if that makes sense. So so currently it's there's the content we just saw, the text content, and then the logo appears there. Then the other areas on the page are also down below, and we can kind of go in here, and these images are also linked, and you basically change these out the exact same way. If you double click this image, then you can hit delete there, and then go browse and find a new image. And again, the image size would be 1500 wide by 685 high. And that image is already linked to the For Parents page. And the little banner above it is also linked to the For Parents page. Right there's the link. Above the Contact Us, I basically have the social links that are there. So once you connect your social accounts, then those will come into play there. All right, so there's that content, and then this third image is exactly the same as far as making changes and editing those. So that's how that works. Third section is exactly the same. The difference here would be that this top content is actually text, even though it's displayed in an HTML type format, just to allow me to apply this special styling on there. But that's how that's set up. So if you want to change this text, you can do that. There's not much space to put much more than like these 3 words that exist, or 2 in that case. But that's how that's done, and basically that text is also linked to the Meet Us page in this case, and then these images are also linked. So that's how that works. When you want to change out those images, you can certainly do that.
Let's go back out and see then quickly to kind of see where else we're at here. I guess the footer content, that's kind of basic. I have a few links out there. If you want to add more links, it's basically if you click that pencil icon in the lower right, then you can get in there and add other content. But currently here's like photo disclaimer and privacy policy. So let's go see the back end of the site, which we would just click the gear to get there. And so this is the back end. I mean, this is what I should have probably said earlier. But anyway, when you're logged in, you can see all the available pages. The area here in the main navigation just means this is what's visible in that top bar up in this area here. And then this utility nav is what I like to call that. Move this down. That's also available. I mean, if you have to edit those links, then I can show you where those are as well. That's like a back end code situation there, but all the pages are actually here. The ones that aren't linked, I mean, we actually do have links to those. There's like some of the homepage areas, or anywhere on the site that you want to add a link to any page. That's where you could do that. But I'll show you where that's done. But that's basically why that's called not linked. It's just because as far as Squarespace knows, those pages aren't listed up there in the top navigation. Not an important situation at all. So let's go to well, we talked about like those pages in the footer. I went ahead and made a folder just to kind of keep things a little more organized, and just kind of put those in there. So those, I mean, they don't have to go in a folder. I just kind of put them in there just to kind of keep them out of the way, because most likely once those are done, you can just collapse that folder and never have to, stare at it. But as far as adding and editing content, really easy to do. Squarespace uses what are normally known as like content blocks. So this is kind of the content editor. And so then this is actually a text block that's in place. Whenever you'd create a new page, then it would always kind of have a text block in place. And you can hit enter, you can type content, you can copy paste content, whatever you want to do. Pretty easy to manage. And then so this is kind of just considered default paragraph text at this point. You can then select this text and highlight that and make like, let's say like a heading 2. And let me get just some more fake content here. And let's just put in, there's another paragraph there. So then at this point we might want to draw like, let's add like a line or something like that. So if you click anywhere where you see there's going to be a black line appearing, it's basically the system saying, do you want to put something here? So if I say yes, let's go ahead and put something there. You can scroll down and select, let's go ahead and select line at that point. So every page is already set up. Well, I mean, when I created the pages, they all have an H1 heading as the actual page title, and that will be important to be consistent with that. It'll kind of tell those search indexes that that's the important part of the page, that page title. So as far as formatting the page content, let me actually go in here. I have this page over here called text styles, where I went ahead and just kind of used all of those pages to kind of just to style those and just so I could demonstrate how things would look. So we can kind of scroll through the site then and say, like, here's our H1 heading, which is the most important. And in this case, since this page is called text styles, I guess that's what we change that to, whatever. Another horizontal line, H3 subheading. So normally you would go H1 at the very top, H2, some content, H3, and then certainly you could go back to another H2, another H3, another H2, but you usually don't repeat an H1 heading, just because it has that hierarchy. So you always kind of look at this as like an outline kind of mode. So if you strip off all the styles, you would have, the document title, maybe like the description of what this page is about, and then subheading, and then the rest of your content. As far as images, we'll get into that shortly here. Bold text, bulleted text, or an unordered list, italic text, and then numbered list or an ordered list. There's different terminology for those. Block quote, and this is actually a quote block. It's a block quote with, and I'll show you that. And then we have like linked text there. So let's go through and look at each one of these items here, just to kind of get an idea for what we have available. The block quote, let's go ahead and look at that. So this is actually a Squarespace component called a quote block. So if you wanted to add another one of those there, you could basically select that and then select quote, and then there's my text that I had basically in my clipboard, and then I'll just say John Deere instead of Doe, and you don't need to put the quotes. Those quotes and everything will already appear within that. So you can kind of see there that this is the back end. The style isn't going to match what's going on out front, but at least it's close. It's made to go ahead and and help you deliver your content quicker this way without worrying about how things are going to look as far as the color and the sizing and all those things. It's just basically, we have an H3 subheading, or this is a quote block. Here's my content. Hit save. So let's go out and view this. So there's our next quote block. Then the whole benefit of using Squarespace, and this is the most important thing, is that you'll be able to manage all areas within this page. And that means that you can actually start to drag and drop content as well. And maybe you wouldn't do it this way. I mean, you might maybe replace one with the other or something like that. You can also change like this margin that I kind of had set up. Just kind of imagine that there's 12 invisible columns here. So each one of these columns could be, tiny, in other words. So, and that's basically how that would look. So you probably never do that, but just showing you the flexibility there, where you'll be able to add many columns of content. Usually in a scenario like this, you just want to kind of consider what's the most important content. I mean, you usually kind of consider that people are reading from the left to the right, and those photos and these additional quotes could be referencing the content on the left. So your content on the left is pretty much going to win. And when I say win, I just mean like it is the most important. And so like on a mobile device, for example, when we would, or like tablet, it might even happen. But on mobile, if we were to have a limited width like this, then that right side content drops to the bottom. So that's pretty typical, because that right side content is just kind of almost like nice to have. It's like, if you're still reading, so here's some more information. So by putting that on the bottom, it again will fall into that same like guideline, I guess, of saying, this is the content hierarchy. This stuff on the left is most important. Stuff on the right and or bottom is least important. So just kind of look at it that way when adding and editing content, and it'll be pretty easy for you. This page that it's already populated with stuff, so it's a little, I'm kind of cheating with that, but let's go back into, I'll just do this privacy page just because I was there. So you can trash things that you've added. You just hit, just drag them to the trash. And when I move that line out, now it's like this block is now back to one individual block. But we can actually, let's go ahead and insert an image. So you can click the insert at any point. And what I'm going to do is if I click immediately, it's going to insert the image in a full width, like it's going to span 12 columns wide. And then I can go ahead and upload an image. I'll just use that. All right, and then so I'm going to go ahead and insert this image. And so now if we go ahead and save this and view it, we'll see that this image is going to be pretty big. It's like it's an enormous image. So in this case, what we'd probably do, I mean, unless that's the intent, hey, I took this photo, it's fantastic, then you want to show the world. But most likely you probably wouldn't want it that big. So what you can do then is you can drag and drop this. And if I have it right now as I click, and then if I release it, there's a couple different ways to do it. You see how there's a gray box there, and then if I move it to the right, there's like a short line, and then if I move it further, there's like the long line. So let's try and figure out what's going on here. So if I do it here, I mean, you can pretty much see that, okay, it's implied that this is going to be an image, or, this is going to take up this much space. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it there. And now we can see that that's actually a floated image, or it's like an inline type image. So you would see this in publishing a lot, where maybe you're reading a book, and then this content would wrap around the image. Totally fine. The only drawback to that is on a mobile device, that image will always be that size. So if the image is important, and probably wasn't the best example there, but let's say that it's smaller, then what'll happen then? This is like almost like a 2/3 split here. Is on mobile, that image would it would just look kind of weird. You wouldn't be able to see much of it. So you can't click it either. So if you still wanted to go ahead and do that, if you wanted to keep that limited width on that, but you also want to allow people to see more of that image, you can actually select Lightbox there. So now if we view this again, oops. Come on. So let's go back to our mobile width, and then if you click it, it'll give you a larger view of that. So that's what a light box will do. It'll also happen here. So it's kind of a great way to allow people to look at that photo, in a larger view. So that's how the float works. You can float things left or right. And so let's drop it back there. So it looks like it's 50% again. You can also stretch the image, which is kind of cool, because it'll actually stretch for you like that. It never really reflects exactly how you'd expect it to look. So you're out here and you're like, okay, it's perfect. However, you come out here and it looks like, oh, this looks way off. But just keep in mind that this text will always kind of win over the image, because when we go onto a smaller display, the image is going to shrink, but our text is going to remain legible, because that's important. So you can pretty much see what's going to happen. There's, okay, our image becomes small again. Okay, that's cool. So a little bit of a trade-off there, where you're like, it doesn't look great or whatever. So you can kind of just play with that. I mean, if I bring this size back, it'll actually snap right there. Let's go back here though, and we'll say that this kid on the left is the most important in the photo. And so where we're like this, we're like, well, we have to crop that. No, we can actually double click it, and we can use what's known as the focal point on the editor. And so when we put that focal point over this kid, then he will always remain visible, no matter what the size of the browser is, or the display, or the iPhone, anything is. So he's always going to remain visible then, anywhere we put this image on, like anywhere in the page. Even if at this point we were to make this a like a really wide horizontal version. Let's say we want to drop it in here for some reason, and let's say we want to just make it super short, kind of thing. He's still there. He's still the most prominent feature of the photo. And so it's very cool functionality, because there's no other platform that I know that can allow you to do that without cropping that photo and testing. I mean, right now it's like a piece of cake. It's like we already know what's going to happen there. So I'll put our focal point back in the middle again, just because if we wanted to kind of focus on all of them, that's how you do it. But let's go ahead and move this image back to, let's put it. Okay, so this will be our next lesson on images. Let me see if I can reset. There we go. You can also add an image caption. Currently, the caption is below, but if I come over here and type kids making binoculars or something. So now our quote our caption is underneath. You can also do like an overlay, or you can do an overlay on hover, or you can say do not display. So this is kind of an important thing, is on every image, I would go ahead and add a caption if you can, because it's also going to help for sight impaired users. Those who would use like a screen reader, they won't be able to see the image. So what they could do is mouse over that, and they'll get the description on what that image is. So this could be the hot dog eating competition, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's what this photo's about. So most likely this text is probably about that as well. Well, in this case, it's not. But anyway, so you can either choose to display that caption, and it'll kind of always be below that image, or you could just turn it off. But it'll actually enhance the accessibility of your site by adding that caption. It'll also help with SEO, because now that text content is considered the alt image, which is it's like a descriptor for that image. So that's kind of a biggie with SEO. If it doesn't have some sort of text, then it's not really a ding against you. It's just the other direction. It's like if you have the text, it's that much better, because people might search for kids making binoculars with their fingers or whatever. So anyway, so at this point, we are kind of at a 50-50 split with this image content. Let me drop it to the bottom. There we go. So now we're full width, and now I can explain why those lines are shorter or taller or whatever. So we currently do have. There we go. I just joined those together by just putting them together. Actually, let me put a line back in here, which you can sometimes break apart content areas by adding a line or a spacer type item. So now we have a text block, a line, and then another text block. Now if I grab the image and I'm gonna drag and drop it, there's different places it's gonna go. So if the line, if I'm all the way to the right here and that line is gonna show up like that, where it spans the entire height, then I can go ahead and release it, and it'll actually make a totally separate column. And if that's what you want to do, cool, because now you could actually drop your content in here. You can do some really fun formatting this way. Very, very flexible content editing and things like that. Let's go ahead and just make this bold, or actually I'll just make this an H3 heading. So now if we view this, it's probably a lot more interesting, because things are kind of broken up, and we can kind of focus on specific areas and do things like that. So you can do like a magazine type layout, was what that could amount to. So if we didn't want to do that, if we just want to say, okay, let's put that back where I had it, whatever, fine, you can do that too. Or if we thought, okay, we don't want this image to keep the whole content area, what we could do, I actually want to put it only to the right of this one top section. So in this case, you can see how the line is shorter there. It means it's going to drop it only in this top section. So you can see when I did that, it's now on the top. If I want to put it in the bottom, bring it over to the left and drop it right there. And there it is. Sometimes, just depending on how the content is formatted, I was going to say you could drop it below where the title appears, but it looks like it's probably not going to happen unless I want to, like if I want to do it this way, I could break apart our heading and our rest of our content, and then I can drag this and plop it right there. So that's what I want to do, and then I can actually delete this line then at this point. So then if we view this, and let's say this title is like longer. Words, whatever. Then it would make a lot more sense to probably do something like that, because then that title won't really run into it, and this would still be kind of considered, subtext or whatever. If that didn't make sense, then you could move it again and just move it to the right and just drop it where you want it. Easy for me to say. I have to drop it first and then move it again. If that doesn't work, you can drop that there. Okay, that's what I was wanting to do. So usually when moving content around in Squarespace, sometimes it's a little tricky. Sometimes you're like, it's so frustrating. But then once you get the hang of kind of what's going on and how things work, then things will make a lot more sense to you. See where I can drop this just for fun. But anyway, yeah, I won't take up too much more time on that. But it's what's cool about this is now we've kind of covered these basics. This will apply to anything that you would add to the site. So this is a video block, for example. So if I went out to like YouTube and I found our video that we want to put in, what I can do then, I could actually copy the link, and that's all you need is the URL link, or the YouTube URL, or Vimeo, or Wistia. Any one of those would work. And if we say custom thumbnail, it means we could actually upload an image that would replace the YouTube kind of default grainy thumbnail. The one that looks always bad. So there I just inserted a video, and it was that easy to do. Absolutely. All right. And video and images and quote blocks. I mean, we've kind of covered those, but there's other, if you have an audio file like a podcast or something like that you want to put in, you can easily do that. You can add a form to this page really quickly. So I just did that. Here's all the default fields, but then you can get in here and you can edit all of this content and change it up. You can add new content. So you could add a field, and then you could build a custom form just like on the fly. Once all the form fields are filled out, then you can go ahead and say where you want that email to go to. So most likely you'd want to collect, or the form to collect that via email. So you'd change your input, put your email in there. You can also collect on Google Docs, which would it write to like a spreadsheet. I'm not going to connect it. Or you can also, yes, we know, or you can also write to MailChimp. So if you want to start collecting whatever, if you want to start collecting email addresses for like a newsletter campaign, you can do it that way really easily. Advanced items could be lightbox mode, which is always cool. So you can change the text on that content there as well. But what's nice about lightbox mode is you can easily do that, and it'll pop that form up and pretty much put the full focus on filling out that form, and then they would submit it. So that's pretty cool and very, very simple to do. And then trashing these things, if you just drag and drop them to the trash can, you can do that. Let's say we want to show this video in a lightbox mode, which is kind of something that a lot of people might want to do. I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL just so I have it. You can also add that same caption below. So that even the caption that's on YouTube itself, and then you could edit that content if you want, and it would just edit that stuff. So I'll go ahead and remove this video block because we want to do a lightbox type video, and that's done by adding a gallery component. So the home page also uses the gallery, which has multiple images in there, but you can also add video content. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add the video. And this is a music video, I would assume. So I'll just, whatever, fine. Do your thing. And the design of that then, let's see. I think if we select grid, let's see what's happening here. You can mix images and in video is what this is doing. So I mean because it's a grid, you could actually show here's four little tiny little buttons. You could do it that way. But in this case, we're just going to say this is a video only, and reduce that padding, and then select lightbox. And in your aspect ratio, most likely video content is most likely 16:9, but you could do square too. It'll crop it. It'll look good regardless of how you do it there. And then if we say save, and if I hit play on this, it's going to play in a light box. I just hit escape. So if you wanted to also add like other image type content to that, I can double click that then, and I can upload. Let me upload that just for fun. And let's put that first. Now when we view it. Oh, actually, I have them stacked. Sorry. Anyway, I think you get it. I mean, you can just kind of get in there and play with it a little bit. Let's say, oh, this is my image video. So you could show two things. You could kind of do it this way. So, so now an image, your image content will display in Lightbox, and if I go to the next thing, then there's our video. You can hit play that way. So piece of cake. And if there's any privacy statement out in the world that has this cool editing on it, I mean, this cool content, I would be amazed. So I'll go ahead and just delete this stuff because we don't need it on here. But the same, oops, I guess I didn't do it. The same thing applies to every page on the site. Um, my system is running a little slow right now. Well, you can also hit delete on a lot of these areas too. Sometimes you can right click. Nope. Well, we're going to live with that until I hit save, then I can delete it again. Summit privacy statement, save, view page. Sometimes you have to go do this. So you either like reload the back end or go preview it, and then you can get these controls back. I guess I just confused things with all my clicking. Okay, so that's how that works. These pages will automatically grow. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but so if we have, a whole bunch of stuff down the page, things will grow, and then I actually have this set up that the navigation goes away, but our clouds will still be kind of at the top of the page, which is kind of a nice little trick. Okay, that is kind of basic editing of pages. News area. So this would be kind of considered a blog post, right? Blog title, blog content. All the editing is exactly the same that we just covered. You can add anything you want to add exactly the same way. If this is kind of confining to you, you can actually click this little arrow here and it'll kind of allow you to edit this like in full screen view, which is just a little easier to see what's going on. I'll just close that back. And again, you can add whatever you want and delete whatever you want too. So you can also add like thumbnail image kind of things. So like if you have like an excerpt. Oops. Oh, here's another good one. So let's say I have this text in my clipboard and I hit paste and then I hit save. Well, that huge, enormous text there would actually, that's now my excerpt content. So it looks horrible, obviously, because it actually it kept that same formatting that I had in the clipboard. So this would also apply site-wide, and when you're pasting any content, now that the content's in place, I can actually select it, and then I can click this, which would remove the formatting. And if we hit save and view it now, we can see that makes so much more sense. I get it. But if we go back in, now let's say that, I clicked settings. That was too clicky. Okay, so then if I go back to options, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So now what I could do, and if I'm like, I have some weird formatting in there, and most likely if you copy from Word or any other web page, most likely it's going to carry some of this formatting with it. So instead of just pasting it in there and running, you can actually paste it as plain text using this feature. So then if I paste it in, it's going to look ugly right now, and you can put in whatever you want. But then if I hit OK, it's going to actually create that as just basic kind of content there. So that's just a little tip. Is you can strip out the formatting before you post it. But let's talk about this excerpt really quickly. There, I just did it again. Easy. So this is my excerpt content that would most likely talk about what this post is about. And then you can actually drag and drop images as well. So the thumbnail image then would also display within that excerpt area. So now if I go view blog, then there's that thumbnail that I just uploaded. Pretty sure the focal point also applies here. Let's just test it really quickly. So it's, it's in the middle right now. If we want, like, let's say the upper left of this image is the most important part. If we go view blog, yep, it's now changed. So that's how that works. So at this point, this post could, it's done. At this point, you click that, and that image actually takes you in. But you can see that, oh, that image isn't there. So that's intentional. That's kind of a cool feature. And there's a couple different ways to explain that. Is, you would say, okay, this is a post, and it's talking about the president or something like that. And so you might, on the home page of the site, or when someone hits the blog, they would see the president on the podium, and then they would click in, then you could see like the president in a different photo, like doing a press opportunity or something like that. Very, very, very powerful, because a lot of platforms won't allow you to do that. What we could do now is we could actually remove this image. Let's say we didn't want it there. Now we can go out and see what this is going to look like here. The the text would just align to the left. And I'm pretty sure if we add an image to the actual post body, which would be in here, I think regardless of where you put it, I think it's going to show up as that excerpt, which is kind of cool, because then if you forget to do the excerpt, then at least it'll do that image. But I will just test this theory, just to kind of see if I'm telling tales out of school. So let's go view. I'm telling tales out of school then. Maybe it has to be at the top. I've seen it before. Maybe it's functionality based on other templates. Maybe I'm just telling tales out of school. Let's put it at the top and see what happens. Nope. I guess I was wrong. So anyway, yeah. So when you want to have the image excerpt, just apply your image to the excerpt, which would be here. The other thing to know, and again, I'm going to test this as I go, but I believe you cannot have an image display without excerpt text. So I'm going to cut this text out. So at this point, we just have an image only, which a photographer might do that, right? On the, they might have like a photo journal or something like that. Yeah, so it's not even detected. We're automatically, when we view this, we're automatically in the full post, or viewing the entire post, as it were. So we can go back in and edit. And now if we view options, and we think, okay, we definitely want that, you can probably just put a period there. I'm just going to guess that would most likely work. Yes, it does. It looks silly. And it wouldn't make sense to anyone, really, if you just had an image. But just showing you that's how that's going to work there. So if you want to have an image excerpt, that's how you do it. If you want to have image excerpt only, good luck. Or put a period, or put the text and put something descriptive. But that's how that works. I'm going to delete that, because you might not have viewed the video by the time you view this. But I'm going to go ahead here and say this is excerpt text view video. So hopefully that'll make sense to you. That's how that works. As far as let's see if there's other areas. locations, you would probably want to do some maps on this page. So we already have our title. We'd have a we are excited to meet you in any location. Blah blah blah. Might do a line here just because might want to break out this content then at some point, and then we could add our two individual locations. So you could say location one, and again, you might just put just a little bit of something. I mean, this could be like turn by turn information, or serving the Northeast, blah blah blah. You could probably I'll just make it bold, and then I'm going to grab that content, just copy it. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a text block and drag and drop it to the right. And I'm going to paste that in. And we're just going to call out location 2. And let's say this content's different. Many things you could do here. You could put like a block of images. Let me just get some quick images really quickly here. It's all about grabbing other people's stuff. No idea what this is. But I got them. Okay. So this could be let's go and select a gallery. We have 3 images that are like this is our location. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop those images. And while those are loading in, I can go then to design, and I'm going to do a grid, and I'm going to just select 3. So it's only going to show those 3 images. I'm going to reduce this to like 10 or something. This padding around each image, and then I can select lightbox. If the images are different sizes, then you probably want to do this, do 1 by 1 square would certainly be fine. And let's see, yeah, these images are actually 3 by 4, so they were 4 by 3 or whatever. So quick and dirty. Go ahead and hit save. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. Let's just add another gallery. So these are photos of the facility itself, is what we're implying. I'll just upload the same ones. Grid, 1 by 1. Show 3 across. 10 lightbox. Save. And then you may want to actually with this insert, you can do insert full width there, or you can insert below this thing. So that's usually a fast way to do that. I could put something here that might say like turn directions or something, or spell it right. What do I have here? What is this thing? Oh, I guess I don't have anything there. Okay. And then I'll paste this here, and then, then we could, put in our turn by, if you're coming from interstate, whatever. Kind of do it like that. Oops, I don't need to do a text block because I could just hit enter, do that. Just make them a little different, right? And actually, let's go ahead and add our map now. So we can go ahead and insert a map. Let's do it before it. Map, map, map. And by default, you can enter your address information. You can actually do this all in one line if you want to, even. West Road. But I'll just do it really quickly. 069 USA. So then I'll hit save there. And then let's add another map really quickly. This is where I was talking about one line. You could go like this. West Road. Little hack there that no one knows about. Well, let's view this and see what it's looking like, because it might be hard to tell here on the back end, but it's probably gonna look pretty cool. So yeah, so we say basically, we're here to serve you, and then you could have location, you could have the phone numbers and things like that, and here's your photos of the facility, and then the map content also there's our turn-by-turn directions. And by the way, if you click the map, it'll actually take you to Google Maps of that address. So cool stuff. Easy, easy, easy. This will also adapt responsively to, this is going to be like a tablet width then, and again on mobile, it's going to adapt and show, location 2 then would be below location 1. Is how that would work. But that kind of covers it. There's not really anything unique to this area. To these pages that you haven't really seen in other pages. Oh, if you move the maps around, that's just like an end user thing to do. So if you refresh the page, it'll automatically snap it back where it should be, and it picks the center of the map based on the address. If you're wondering, you can also make these maps shorter, in the same way that you would do like photo images and things. It's sometimes hard to line things up, but it looks like it worked all right there. But yeah, that's how that works. Or you could do like, let's say you wanted to do location 1 and 2 top bottom. Then what we could do is actually, what I would do is I would add a line, and then I could just drag and drop everything. Say that thing. That thing. And everything is going to scale accordingly. Come on. There we go. So might now want our maps a little wider or something. So when I moved all that stuff out of there, location 1 then spanned wider. Spanded wider. If you want more space between elements, let's say you might do that here, or let's say we want to put some text here first. Click for, I'm not sure, I think you could say like click pin for larger view. I don't know, this is just making it up as I go. not sure if that would make sense to anybody, but I did it just to show you how. But yes, I was going to add more space. So map. So if we view this, then we talk about our location. There's our photos of our facility, and click map for larger view. Okay, but it's really crowded or something, or it looks like we might want to add space. So there's actually these space blocks that we also have access to, which are similar to a line, but instead they just make space. So we can insert a spacer block, and again, you can resize that, and it has a minimum width of or height of that, whatever that is. So that's how those work. Or when looking at these images, this is actually a great use of the spacer block. Is we can actually just use it to hold space like that. So in this case, we can kind of look at the difference between those three. Then we come down, oops, and now we see those three, which are huge, which, it might be better to do something like this. So that spacer block is going to hold that horizontal space and allow you to kind of manage that content a little better. With such limited content here, you kind of see how you could quickly benefit by just kind of condensing a lot of things. But anyway, I guess that space doesn't make sense there, but that's how it works. So really going to be pretty easy for you, I believe, to kind of carry on. There's no like revert or undo, but most of these changes are, I don't know. Yeah. I guess you could kind of screw up some page that had existing content that you really loved. If you delete a page, you can restore it, but there's no like roll back to what I had on there yesterday, or things like that. So if you're going to make changes, just like I've done here, and you spend a lot of time typing content, then you could certainly save that content locally. Looks like I'm going to have to refresh this page here. Come on. Seriously. Well, there we go. Once the "Are You Sick" content comes into play, I'll put that in place for you. Contact kind of content would be there. And then symptoms, I think, is the same thing as "Are you sick?" I have a question on that. Wasn't sure. Directions, I guess, could almost be the same as locations. Although, I guess you could probably keep those things separately, or do both. It would be beneficial, I guess, to people. Then as far as the remainder, I think for the policies and forms. So I think I covered this earlier, talking about how you would add content here. So I'll just go ahead and hit it again. So let's say we want to add another upload here, and we want to have a PDF. I just hit enter. So our cursor now is below those, and there's it's nothing linked on there. So I can say another document, and then I could select that text, and then I would select the link, and then I would browse to a local file. And in this case, I'm just going to browse to this image, which it's going to work exactly the same way. And if you click off of that, then it's on there. So there you go. So that's our download. Pretty easy to do.